My girlfriend cheated on me, but when she told me why, her excuse made everything so much worse. Hey Reddit. I had been with my girlfriend, Emily, for nearly 3 years. We met in college, and from the very beginning, I thought I had found my person. She was kind, funny, and had this way of making even the most boring days feel special. We had dreams of moving in together soon, maybe even getting a dog. I was in love with her, truly and completely, and I thought she felt the same way. Then, everything changed in a single night. It started with small things. She became distant, her texts were shorter, and she started making excuses to avoid spending time together. At first, I chalked it up to stress. She had a demanding job, and I knew she had been feeling overwhelmed lately. But then the late nights started. The vague explanations. The sudden interest in keeping her phone locked away when she never used to care before. My gut told me something was wrong, but I didn't want to be that paranoid boyfriend who jumped to conclusions. Then came the night that destroyed everything. I had been feeling uneasy all day. Something inside me just wouldn't settle. Emily had told me she was going out with some of her coworkers, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. So, against my better judgment, I decided to go to the bar she mentioned. I wasn't planning to confront her, I just wanted to see for myself that I was being ridiculous, that my insecurities were unfounded. But what I saw instead ripped my heart out. There she was, sitting in a dimly lit corner booth with some guy I had never seen before. They were laughing, leaning in close, her hand resting on his arm. But what really destroyed me was the way she looked at him. That look, the same look she used to give me when we first started dating, like he was the only person in the world. I stood there frozen, watching as she leaned in and kissed him, not a hesitant peck but a deep, passionate kiss. It felt like the air had been sucked out of my lungs. My worst fear had just been confirmed, and yet I couldn't move. I don't know how long I stood there before I finally found the strength to turn around and leave. I didn't make a scene. I didn't march over and confront her. I just walked out, feeling like a ghost of myself. When I got home, I sat in silence, trying to process what I had just seen. Should I wait for her to come home? Should I text her and demand an explanation? Should I just cut her off completely? My hands were shaking as I finally decided to text her. We need to talk. She took almost an hour to reply, and when she did, it was just a simple, okay, I'll come over. I expected her to at least look guilty when she walked in, but instead, she looked annoyed. Like I was the one inconveniencing her. That alone almost sent me over the edge. I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm, and just asked her straight up, who was he? She rolled her eyes. I figured you saw. That response made my blood run cold. There was no guilt, no remorse, just this casual indifference. Yeah, I said, clenching my fists. I saw. So tell me, Emily, who is he? And how long has this been going on? She sighed, crossing her arms like this was some kind of minor argument about where to eat for dinner. His name is Jake. He's just someone I've been seeing for a little while. A little while? I repeated, my voice shaking. How long, Emily? She hesitated. That was my answer right there. Finally, she muttered, a couple of months. A couple of months. My girlfriend, the woman I had been planning a future with, had been sneaking around behind my back for months. I felt like I was going to be sick. But the worst part hadn't even come yet. Why? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Why would you do this to me? And that's when she gave me the excuse that shattered me even more than the betrayal itself. She shrugged and said, I don't know. I just felt like I needed something different. Something different. Like our relationship was a pair of old shoes she had grown tired of. Like I was some phase she had outgrown. I stared at her, waiting for her to realize how cruel that was, waiting for some kind of regret to appear on her face. But she just stood there, looking at me like she was waiting for this conversation to end so she could go back to her life. Are you even sorry? I asked, my voice breaking. She hesitated again, and that was all I needed to know. I felt numb. Completely and utterly numb. I thought about all the times I had supported her, the times I had stayed up late to comfort her when she was upset, the surprises I had planned just to see her smile. And in the end, none of it mattered to her. She wanted something different. I could feel my hands shaking as I finally said, get out. She blinked, surprised. What? Get out. I repeated, this time with more force. Go be with Jake, or whoever else you want. We're done. For the first time, I saw a flicker of emotion on her face, surprise, maybe even a little anger. But she didn't argue. She just grabbed her bag and walked to the door. Before leaving, she turned back and said, you're overreacting. And with that, she was gone. I don't know how long I sat there after she left. Hours, maybe. The realization that everything I thought we had was a lie slowly sank in, and it felt like I was suffocating. I didn't sleep that night. I just kept replaying her words over and over again. I needed something different. How do you move on from something like that? But here's the thing, this story isn't over yet. Because the next day, I found out something even worse. Something that made everything 10 times more painful. And that's when everything really started to spiral out of control. Update. The morning after Emily left, I woke up feeling like my entire world had caved in. I barely slept, and when I did, all I saw was her face, her cold, indifferent expression when she told me she just needed something different. That phrase kept repeating in my head, over and over, like a broken record. I wanted to be angry. I wanted to scream, punch something, do anything to get rid of the hollow ache in my chest. But all I could do was sit there, staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out where it all went wrong. I told myself that was the end of it. She cheated, I found out, I ended it, simple, right? But life is never that simple. Because the very next day, I found out something that made everything so much worse. A mutual friend of ours, Josh, texted me, asking if I was okay. I hadn't told many people about what happened yet, so I was confused. I asked him why he was asking, and that's when he dropped the bomb on me. Dude. I wasn't sure if I should tell you this, but you deserve to know. Emily and Jake have been a thing for way longer than a few months. I stared at my phone, my heart pounding. My fingers felt numb as I typed back, "What do you mean?" Josh hesitated before replying, "I mean." Pretty much everyone in her friend group knew. They weren't even hiding it that well. I thought you knew too. I felt like the ground had just disappeared beneath me. She had told me it was just a couple of months, but now I was hearing that it had been going on for much longer? And worse, people knew? My friends, her friends, maybe even complete strangers. They all knew what was happening behind my back, and no one said a damn thing. I called Josh immediately, my voice shaking with anger. "How long, Josh? Just tell me how long they've been together." There was silence on the other end before he finally sighed. "Almost a year, man. A year." Emily had been cheating on me for nearly an entire year while looking me in the eyes and telling me she loved me. Every date, every intimate moment, every late night talk, it was all a lie. And the worst part? She didn't even respect me enough to come clean about it. She thought she could downplay it, make it seem like some fleeting mistake. But no, she had been living a double life for a year, and I was the idiot who never saw it coming. I hung up the phone without saying another word. My hands were shaking. My chest felt tight. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't even make a sound. The betrayal I felt before was nothing compared to this. It wasn't just a moment of weakness for her. This was deliberate. This was calculated. And now, I needed to know why. Another update. I spent the next few days in a haze. I barely ate. I barely slept. My mind kept replaying everything, every moment we had together, every time she told me she loved me. I felt like a fool. But I also felt something else growing inside me. Not just sadness. Not just heartbreak. Rage. I needed answers. So I did something I probably shouldn't have done. I reached out to Emily. I didn't beg for her back. I didn't even yell. I just sent one message. "I know you've been with Jake for almost a year. Tell me the truth. Why?" It took her a few hours to respond, and when she did, it was the same cold, detached version of her that I had seen that night. "You already know the answer." I needed something different. That was it. No remorse. No regret. Just the same excuse as before, like she was bored of an old toy and decided to replace it. That's when I realized something. I had spent so much time wondering what I did wrong, but the truth was, this wasn't about me at all. It was about her. She was selfish. She wanted to have her fun while keeping me as her backup plan. And now that I was gone, she didn't even care. I blocked her after that. Not because I was hurt, though I was, but because I refused to give her any more of my energy. She had taken enough from me already. But this story wasn't over yet. Because just when I thought I was done with Emily, karma decided to step in. Final update. A few weeks passed. I focused on myself, spent time with real friends, and started rebuilding my life. And then, out of nowhere, I got a message from an unknown number. "Hey. I need to talk to you. It's important." It was Jake. I almost laughed when I saw his name pop up on my screen. Of all people, why the hell was he reaching out to me? I debated ignoring him, but curiosity got the better of me. I replied, "What do you want?" His response? "Emily cheated on me too." I had to read it twice to make sure I wasn't imagining it. But no, it was real. The same guy she had thrown me away for, the guy she had been sneaking around with for a year, was now reaching out to tell me she had done the same thing to him. I don't know why, but I agreed to meet up with him. Maybe I wanted to see the look on his face. Maybe I wanted to hear it from him directly. When we met at a coffee shop, he looked like a wreck, dark circles under his eyes, disheveled hair, the same haunted expression I had seen in the mirror not too long ago. She was seeing someone else, he said, running a hand through his hair. I found out a few days ago. She admitted to it, but she didn't even care. She just said she wanted something new. I couldn't help it, I laughed. A bitter, humorless laugh. Welcome to the club. Jake shook his head. I should have seen it coming. I mean, if she could cheat on you for a year, why did I think I'd be any different? And that's when it hit me. Emily was never going to change. She wasn't just looking for something different, she was the kind of person who would always chase the next thing, never satisfied with what she had. And in the end, it caught up to her. I didn't feel sorry for Jake. He knew what he was getting into. But I did feel a strange sense of closure. This whole time, I thought I had lost something precious. But the truth was, I had dodged a bullet. Emily would never find happiness, because she was always searching for something new. And me? I was finally free. As I walked away from that coffee shop, I felt lighter than I had in months. Because for the first time, I wasn't heartbroken. I wasn't angry. I was just glad it was over. That's all for today's video, folks. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for more exciting content. See you next time.